Let's see. Hey there, ladies and gentlemen. This is Andrew Snorton with Creative Community Solutions. And as you're aware, on the press and media end, we are so fortunate to cover a wide range of topics, whether it's sports, arts and entertainment, a little bit of government and politics, and community-based. And every once in a while, we get a chance to actually sit down with some people who are really doing some great things across the board. So as a reminder, in order to capture the full interview and the full article, make sure to visit the website asnortonccs.com/blog. And what will happen is when you go there, what you're about to see is going to be the very first article that comes to the top. The video that you're watching will be an embedded YouTube link in the article, as well as on my YouTube channel, Creative Community Solutions, LLC. And to stay connected with us, again, the website, asnortonccs.com. You may email me at asnortonccs@gmail.com, and on social media, Instagram, Twitter, asnortonccs, and on Facebook and YouTube, Creative Community Solutions. And I tell you what, I'm so excited to have our guest with us today. Oh my goodness, what hats doesn't she wear? Author, actress, community advocate, event host, just, you name it, she is probably doing it and doing it at a high level. So I'm so excited to have the real Vitel joining us today. Vitel, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much. And thanks for that awesome introduction. You listed more than I usually do. I usually just say to be continued or and so on, because it's a lot.
I tell you what, you've got a lot of moving parts, and I know part of what we're going to talk about is the great event production that you've got coming up at the end of the month. But before we get into that, I always want to make sure people have a point of reference. So walk through a little bit about where you are originally from and where you're based out of. Let's start there.
Okay, so I'm originally from Dayton, Ohio, but I am traveling full time. I say I'm based out of Atlanta because I have a mailing address there and I've adopted a lot of family there as well. So I'm mostly based out of Atlanta, but I do travel full time. So you just never know where I'm going to be.
So almost like a moving, you're regularly on the move, Now,
RV life.
there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. RV life isn't just for like college football season. It is for some people a way of life. Now, before pivoting into that, walk through with us. Like I said, you've got a number of moving parts: author, actress, event host, community steward. And for a lot of people, there's usually that moment of clarity or that moment where you realize I need to pivot from what I'm doing now, and for lack of a better term, walk more in step with my path, my passion, and my purpose. Could you walk through whether there is one key event or maybe a couple of events where for you, the light bulb came on and it's like, you know what, this is where I need to be?
That's a good question. I don't know that there was one key event. I think there was multiple. I think it was always a matter of something happens and then you get gung-ho about your passion and your calling. And then, it kind of dwindles down a little bit and then something else happens and you get right back on it. So I think that's life, it's a constant on and off, chasing your calling, getting discouraged and back and forth. So it's constant growth. Every time I have gotten back on, I've gotten better. And I think I'm to the point now where I'm just like, I can't see myself doing it any other way, even when I am discouraged or frustrated or overwhelmed and all the things that we get, especially in the entertainment industry. I couldn't see it any other way. I know I'm doing what I'm called to do.
And I'm glad that you shared that, because some people think it is a linear path. But like you just said, sometimes you're drawing every shape imaginable. It might be a square, a circle, a rectangle, or I don't know, just some scribble scrabble. But the key thing is like you said, you're still keeping it moving. So I know there's a whole lot that I'd really love to talk about, but let's start off, before I forget, let's start off with the production that you have, and we're seeing it in the background, 9 Lives. So walk through with us a few of the themes, that people will be able to engage and connect with, as well as the role that you're playing with that production?
Okay, sure. So like you mentioned earlier, I was on the show before for my book, and I have it here just to remind some of you guys, this is my book, I Am a Poetic Ensemble. It is a memoir and story of my life. And so this show, Nine Lives, is actually basically, it's the show to the book. And I don't want to say it's the movie version, because it's not just a movie and it's not just a play. It's actually a movie and a play in one item. It's a whole production. So that's just how I do. For those who do follow me and know my work, I can't just do one thing. I'm always having to multitask. So this one is very insane, because I actually play all of the characters. So as you can see here, there are a lot of them, 9 to be exact. And so I play every one of them, and each one of them has a topic that they cover that is from my testimony, from my book. And so each one of them covers one of those topics of trauma that I've experienced myself. So most people know me from my show, The Face of Homeless, which is the very first production that I did, which was more play than movie, but it was still both put together. And so one of those shows, this person, or one of the characters rather, this person here actually covers that specific journey of homelessness. So each one of them covers a different topic, a different trauma, and the whole show is all about healing.
Wow. And there's a lot that you shared right there. And I recall, from your book, like you said, it is, a memoir. It's based on the theme of, this is where you see me where I am, but you don't know what I've been led through in order to get there. Talk
Right.
with us how that theme not only is so ever present in your memoir, but is definitely present in Nine Lives.
The theme of, just as far as the things that I've been through and the journey to get to this point.
Yeah, because how sometimes, like, whenever when people are being interviewed, they see you where you are as the actress, or the
Right.
author, or the community steward, but they don't know how you got here. And
Right.
so walk through like how that theme definitely comes to the forefront in the book, and how you said the piece Nine Lives is really an extension, of that particular work.
Right. Yeah. Because like you said, most people know me first as an actress. I've been in over 50 movies now at this point. I stopped counting after 50, but, and people definitely don't realize what you've gone through until you start to share. Unfortunately, a lot of us are taught and trained that certain things you're supposed to keep to yourself, especially within families. You don't air your family's dirty laundry, so to speak. And so, we just keep it to ourselves, and we don't speak out on it. We don't realize how much just speaking out on the things that you've been through can really help somebody's life, and not just help their life, but even save their life. You know what, to go back to the question that you said before, now that I think about it, there was that aha moment for me. And I just reminded myself in what I was saying as far as saving someone's life. One of my biggest aha moments was when I was extremely suicidal and depressed, because I had been through so much trauma in my life, and I had a lot of trauma responses and reactions to that. And so at this time in my life, and this was maybe 4 or 5 years ago, that I was extremely suicidal and depressed. And I went to a retreat. And the woman there shared her testimony and her story of how she really didn't want to do the retreat. And once she started spilling her whole story out, it related so deeply to me that I knew that it was God that led me there. And it was because of her obedience that I chose not to commit suicide. Like, I literally had it all planned out in that moment. So that's one of the biggest aha moments for me that keeps me going, and telling my story, because if she hadn't, I probably wouldn't be here. So now I look at it every time I do stand up and share my testimony and speak, which is it's not easy. It's very difficult every time. It's very nerve-wracking because you're telling your personal business, and that's not ever comfortable. But I'm reminded constantly that I could be saving someone's life. That same person that I was not too many years ago could be in my audience or hearing my voice, and it could save their life. So if I say no, or if I sit down on this one, we could be losing someone because I wasn't obedient. So So that's a big aha moment for me. And just to go back to what you were saying, as far as sharing what I've gone through, the trials and tribulations, I definitely thank God I don't look like what I've been through, but I learned from every situation that I've been through. I always go back to the homeless example because that's one that most people know. If I wanted to help the homeless at the time that I was homeless, and I started helping the homeless, and I started my own nonprofit. I did all these things, but had I not ended up homeless myself, I would not know firsthand what people really needed out in the streets, like, because I was out there. So now in hindsight, I thank God for what I've gone through, because had I not been homeless, I wouldn't be able to help thousands of homeless people that I've helped over the years. And that applies to every situation, whether we're talking about me, my times when I was dealing with mental health and being suicidal, whether it's domestic violence, all of these different topics. If I hadn't gone through them, I wouldn't be able to help somebody else through them.
And that's powerful in and of itself, because when you were sharing that, I'm thinking of walk a mile in somebody's shoes. And when you do that, your eyes get wide open. And
Right.
like you said before, it's not as if what you were doing before wasn't effective, but like we like to say, it hits a little differently.
Right.
It hits a lot differently. and like they say, and I kind of mentioned it, in another talk, in order to go through it, you got to grow through it. And I'm just hearing so much regarding growth and insight and understanding and presence, and just building off of those experiences and putting it into something like so powerful.
Right. Right. And the entertainment industry itself is a powerful beast. It affects the way people think, the way they act and behave, their opinions on everything. We've got so many negative influences in that industry. We need more positive. We need more people sharing their stories and using it to encourage someone else. So I'm grateful to be in the position to be an encouragement to others.
And you make an interesting point with entertainment, because like you said, entertainment, it is a very influential piece. To say that it's not is a bold-faced lie. So let me ask you this. How do you maintain your sense of conviction in an industry where it can be very easy to lose yourself? How do you keep it together and keep it in perspective when at times you're in an industry where things can go out of control in a moment?
That's a good question. You asked some deep questions, man. You give me things. And it's funny because there's always multiple ways I can answer this. Because honestly, so to answer that question, I do different things. So it's just like healing from trauma. There's not just one thing that works for you. You have to try the different things. And depending on the situation or the instance, one thing may work in this case and another may work in another case. So in this case, I would say the biggest thing that helps me is taking breaks in between projects. People who follow me on my social media know that usually in between big projects, after I've given so much out, and I'm very much an introvert, believe it or not, I've given so much out, I'm completely drained. I will go camping in the woods for a few days and just disappear. And that really keeps me grounded and maintains my sanity, just to get out in nature and do something that I really enjoy doing, and just to get away from it all for a minute. So that's one of my biggest things.
And I'm glad you shared that, because at times people, they know they need to decompress, but they don't know what that looks like. So even for what you said, just, it's okay. Like they say, peace be still. And it's okay to be in solitude for a day or two, just to slow down the moving parts. So even if people are like, well, I'm not going to go out camping, they can take away, it's okay to maybe go into the park. That's my thing. Doing my walk in the park, whether it's in the morning or sometimes I'll change it up, where it's just a moment just to slow down and regain perspective. So I'm glad you shared that. So people who want to go outdoors, Here's your person to talk to. Definitely.
Exactly. Yeah, the outdoors ain't for everybody now. I'll tell you that. Not everybody likes camping and bugs and things like that. But no, that's my thing. And when you think about it, even Jesus himself, that's my perfect example. He took breaks and he got away from everybody and he went into the garden and prayed so many times. Anytime things are repeated in the Bible over and over again, I believe that they got to apply to me. And there's a reason for that. So that's one of those things.
And again, and another thing, what you said in regards to help keeping your perspective, it's not only the things you do depending on, like you said, the project or the situation, but your faith. So let me ask you this question in regards to faith. Sometimes it's easy for people to maintain their faith when things are going their way. It is a little bit more challenging when things are not. So what do you do if there is a nugget or something for people to think about, put in their hip pocket, when you look at the experiences you talked about in the book, the extension with 9 lives, when things have not gone your way, what is something, and like you said, it depends on the situation, but in principle, what's something that you do to maintain your faith in the midst of things not going your way?
Honestly, for me, I feel like it's easier when things aren't going my way because I'm in a position where I have no choice but to depend on God because I'm feeling weak right now and I'm unable to, tackle whatever it is that's in front of me that's overwhelming. So I believe definitely that God allows us to be in those moments so that we can depend on him. Because a lot of times when things are going our way, we're just having fun and enjoying life. We're not thinking about him as much. So it's kind of the opposite. And so just, staying in my word, just reading and then writing, journaling, definitely. Journaling is that's how I got my first book. So, I mean, it's literally my journals printed out that I've kept over the years that have kept me looking at the light at the end of the tunnel and always knowing that what I'm going through, even in that moment, is for a purpose. So I'm always like, even years, when I was younger, I'm thinking, I'm going through something right now, but I'm going to make a movie out of this one day. Like, just always keeping my eyes on that and always knowing the bigger picture, regardless of what I'm going through at the moment.
And I'm so glad that you shared that because, like, some people feel like, quote, if they don't have it all together, then it's an indictment and they might be less than. But what you just shared is, regardless of how things are going, that you still have worth, you have merit, you still are important, you still can be reminded of who you are and whose you are. So I'm glad that I'm not saying we're preaching a sermon, but we're just dropping some things to think about and what have you. So let me ask you this. We have 9 lives coming up. Could you let us know, like, dates, times, locations where people can just enjoy the experience, be uplifted, encouraged, motivated, and all of those things that they can constructively feed from?
Absolutely. So I actually did the show 3 times already. So there are a lot of reviews going around and people are already talking about it because they've seen it virtually. So that was because of the pandemic. So this is going to be the very first time it's been live in person. And that is actually going to be at the Encore Film and Music Studio in Atlanta, Georgia. We're working on lining up different states as we develop this tour that is taking place. So I'm calling it a world tour because I'm claiming it, and that is what's happening. So it's starting in Atlanta. And as we get more sponsors and more people involved, it will definitely grow from state to state. So we're working on that. The Atlanta address is 3938 Shirley Drive. And you can actually text for ticket information, or if you want to be a sponsor, or we're also looking for contributors to donate for our gift bags. So if you have products or business cards and things like that that you'd like to contribute, you can get more information on any of those things by texting 770-626-5075. You can text that number and just get involved in any way that you'd like. We also especially are looking for therapists, life coaches, any types of organizations that deal with any of the topics that I mentioned during this interview, domestic violence, homelessness. We're trying to get the organizations together so that once people watch this show and those wounds are opened, or maybe they're triggered or reminded of something that they didn't even know they still needed to deal with and heal from, that they're able to go to the tables right after the show and connect with the people who are going to be able to get them the professional help they need to heal from that trauma. So we are not just entertaining, we are acting on our purpose and helping people to heal. So that's in Atlanta, Georgia on April 30th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is when you can see the show next live.
So in other words, this is, for lack of a term, a constructive use of entertainment. So you've got the entertainment component. Of course, people come out and support to patronize, but you're incorporating elements of the community, and to varying degrees, it really is stewardship, because you're realizing it's great to have this piece to articulate life's challenges and how you can still navigate through and still be, somebody, something, and still, quote, have your relevance, presence, importance, etc. But you're taking a step further, that now that we have these moving parts out here and knowing that there's somebody virtual or in person, here's a place where you can go. Here's where you're providing access to resources. And it's really being proactive, because like you said, that there's somebody out there that is struggling with something, and through the lens of performance, or through the lens of just being away from that for a moment and having access, just like you spoke about your moment to pivot, you are helping someone else find their moment to pivot.
Absolutely. Some of the people who've seen the show already virtually have, I've gotten a lot of feedback, and I've even had people, I'll give you this example, a grown man now told me he can't come and see it in person in Atlanta. He would like to support, but he literally cannot see it again because it was that impactful on him that, to experience that, even though it was stuff that some of the stuff was stuff that he hadn't actually been through personally, but that's how it's depicted in a way that you can relate, whether you can relate firsthand or not. But it covers so many different topics that 9 times out of 10, you're going to see yourself in one of these 9 characters. Absolutely.
Okay. And as a reminder, remind our audience, not only, again, the date, time, location, but what are ways that I'll say the general community can lend support. So even if they don't necessarily come to patronize the production, there are still ways for you to engage, be involved, and through this, be a vehicle to help other people.
Absolutely. So we are definitely looking for more sponsors. There's commercial space available because it is a movie as well. So there'll be commercials played in the beginning, just like at a movie theater. If you'd like to get commercial spot, or if you'd like to have your items placed in our grab bags, you can reach out in regards to that. Again, this next show is in Atlanta, Georgia on April 30th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's only one show. And so, and if you're in a different state other than Atlanta, then reach out to connect so that we can bring the show to your city.
Awesome. Now, in addition to, I know you provided the contact number, is there a website that people can go to? Are there social media platforms for people who utilize those where people can go to?
Yep. The best way to get a hold of me is going to vitell.net. That's VITELLE.net. That is my main website, which links to everything from there. So go explore vitell.net and you can definitely get more information and be able to reach me through there as well.
Okay. And as we get ready to wind this down and bring this together, you definitely shared a lot from your personal journey, your professional journey, the production piece, the great tie-ins. If people don't remember anything else about what we've been able to talk about today, and I know with experience comes wisdom, and so I see the wise sage up in here, but what's one, I'll say, nugget, words of wisdom, words of encouragement that you'd like to leave someone? So in case they don't, other things don't register, this could be something that does register and helps them kind of get up and running.
One thing I heard somebody say that definitely registered and stuck with me, because I like visuals, is just the reminder that diamonds, in order to be created, have to go through fire. So if you're somebody who's going through a lot and you're just like, Lord, why me? Why my life? Why is my life like this? Like, recognize that it's very possible that your purpose is even greater than you could possibly imagine. And that could be why you're going through something. So just take a moment to step back and ask, rather than why is this happening to me? Why is this happening right now? And what am I supposed to gain from it? Because it's all a learning lesson and a growth process. And if you get through it, you come out as a diamond. So you can get through it.
Well, I tell you what, on that note, number one, we appreciate you taking time away from your schedule to sit down and talk with us. Second thing is you are continuing to build on what your passion, what your purpose is. And it is still, part tapping into your skill sets, gifts, and talents. But even during this entire conversation, there's something deeper. It's almost like, the water is still on the top, but underneath there's motion. And so I know those creative energies, the creativity that's coming from this, I know whatever else is next, it's ongoing. And we definitely wish you and your team and everybody continued success. So again, as we draw this to a close, as a reminder, to catch the entire video, it will be available on our YouTube channel, Creative Community Solutions. We will plan on having this article available by April 15th, but it will probably be available on April 14th. That'll be available on our website, acenortonccs.com. You can either click on articles and coverage, or if you just want to do acenortonccs.com/blog, it will be the very first article that will pop up. We'll have this video embedded with the article. So if you're someone who likes to watch, you can watch the whole thing. If you're someone who's like, let me just go ahead and read, you can read that too. And if this is the first time that you've connected with our guest, you already know it's coming. Please do not let it be your last. So in closing, we thank our gracious guest. For our audience, we thank you for joining us. Be a friend, tell a friend. And until next time, to all, continue to take very good care.